Hello, my name is Stephanie Presley. I'm the program lead for the flood service area in Seward. In this presentation, we will go through the multi-agency permit application for development along rivers, wetlands, and special flood hazard areas. Within the borough, outside of city limits, the borough administers a floodplain development code to keep property, people, and infrastructure safe from flooding. All development, including bringing in fill, building new structures, putting in stairs or a dock on the river, or other man-made changes to the parcel will require a permit. In addition to the floodplain code, the borough administers a habitat protection setback on rivers outside of the Seward Bear Creek flood service area. The state of Alaska Fish and Game regulates development within ordinary high water, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers regulates wetlands in U.S. waters and tidal waters. If you're unsure if your project will need permits, you can call or visit the River Center or the Flood Service Area office in Seward. For those of you in Seward, please note we'll be moving to the Bear Creek Fire Station July 1st of 2021. The multi-agency permit application is linked on both the Flood Service Area and the River Center websites. Paper copies can also be picked up at our offices. From the borough website, you can go to departments at the top and scroll down to the River Center. Under permits, visit permit applications, and you'll see the multi-agency permit application is here. You can see it's a short few pages, and it doesn't take long to fill out. Only one permit application is needed for all of these agencies. The application should be submitted to the River Center, and it will be distributed to the necessary regulatory agencies for review. There may be additional permitting agencies you will need to contact, such as the State Department of Environmental Conservation, for example, if you're installing a septic system. The project description should be as detailed as possible, and the drawing should include the information on the checklist. Completed applications can be emailed, faxed, or put in the snail mail to the River Center, or it can be brought into our offices and we'll scan and email them over for you. Agencies will contact you if there's additional information needed. For a completed application, most agencies will provide you with a written permit within about 30 days. Within the Seward area community, applications are reviewed by the Flood Service Area Board of Directors at their regular meeting on the first Monday of the month. They provide local comments and recommendations on projects to the regulatory agencies. Applicant information should be the property owner. If a contractor or other person is working on the application, please fill out the agent information here. Under the project location, in our next video, we'll show you some helpful tools on the public parcel viewer to help fill out some of this information. Directions to the site are important. Is this going to be a new residential structure? Will you be replacing stairs that already lead down to a river? Go ahead and fill out whether it's new or an existing project and what the purpose of the project is. This section is for a written project description. Feel free to attach additional pages if needed. A good way to get started is to think about your project from the ground up. Will you be clearing and grubbing vegetation or cutting trees? If so, how many? Will you be excavating or bringing in fill for the project? Will you be just leveling the ground, or will you be bringing in several feet to elevate a building pad? If so, provide the dimensions of the fill area and estimate the cubic yards of material. Where will this material come from? Will you be building a slab on grade or stem walls on a footer or building on pilings? What's the elevation you'll be building the first floor of your structure? One key requirement for structures in flood hazard areas is to have the first floor of the structure elevated above floodwaters. If you have a federally backed loan, the higher you are above this flood protection elevation, the lower your flood insurance premiums will be. What construction materials, methods, and equipment will be used for your project? On the drawings, you will want to include any already existing structures or development, water bodies, and the measurements of these, in addition to the measurements of the proposed development. In our next video, we'll show you tools on the parcel viewer to help those top view drawings be simple. The more information you can give, the quicker your application can be reviewed. What's your timeline? When do you expect to start? And how many days of construction are you expecting? Is this project within city limits? The City of Homer and Seward administer their own floodplain programs and have adopted building code. You can contact the city's community development and building departments for information on development within city limits. Is this project located within 50 feet of ordinary high water mark? The ordinary high water mark is usually the vegetation line along a creek or a lake. Will your project extend over or below the ordinary high water mark? Or will a structure be placed within high water or high tide line? Will you be excavating or depositing material? If you're bringing in material and are required to get a floodplain development permit, the answer to this is probably yes. Will it be pit run material? Or are you bringing in a specific size such as D1? You can search for a gravel material calculator online to estimate the amount of fill to be excavated or deposited. Will you be placing fill below the ordinary high in wetlands or tidal waters? If so, what is the area? Again, in the next video, we'll show you a tool to complete these measurements. List the equipment to be used and whether or not they will cross creeks or small tributaries. Are there any threatened or endangered species that may be impacted? This answer may be yes if your property is within 600 feet of a bald eagle's nest. Are there any historic properties or archaeological sites that may be impacted by your proposal? Has any of the work already been completed? And will you be installing utilities such as septic or electrical? Be sure to look through the applicant checklist and sign and date. On the site plans, your drawings don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be engineered. They can be hand-drawn and they should be legible and labeled with the information on the checklist. Or if you have an example pictures of the structure, that could also be used and labeled with your proposed measurements. Drawings should include a top or a bird's eye view and a side or an elevation view. The parcel viewer has some useful tools and information that will help with your application and drawings. In our next video, we'll show you some of those tools on the Flood Service Area Public Parcel Viewer. Permit applications can be sent to the River Center or brought to our office, and we can scan and email the information. Once it's been reviewed, you'll receive an email with the necessary permits and a sign that will need to be printed and posted so it can be seen from the road and the river if you're creekside. Please read through all the permits to know what requirements must be met for your project and if you will need a final inspection or a permit or a surveyor to complete an elevation certificate on your structure. If your project changes after the permit has been written, a simple amendment application can be submitted to the River Center. If you need assistance on your permit application, please call or visit our offices at the River Center or the Flood Service Area. Again, if you're in Seward, we'll be moving out to Bear Creek Fire Station, July 1st, 2021.